here about midway in the wide lines. Omer Rabba Brachona, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, Shem Shel Ben Arba Osios. The name of Hashem, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei. Chomoshin Osa LeTalmideim Pamachs B'Shavua. The Chachomim, they share this with their students once in a 7-year period. Okay? So Rashi says, what is it? What do you share? How it's written, how it's pronounced, and also what you're able to understand regarding its significance. Varmilo Pamayim B'Shavua, others say twice in 7 years. Because we're concerned that since it's something that only there's a certain element of people who are really worthy to understand, have this level of understanding. So if you disseminate it or make it known, too often people who are not worthy may actually come upon that knowledge, which is a problem. We'll see later. The Gemara says, Ramchal writes in the Derech Hashem, there's certain incantations of the names of Hashem. And many of the effects, you could actually change nature and bring about miracles by, if you know exactly how to conjugate letters and use the famous Hashem. Like, the Gemara says the other brochos that Tzal ben Ur ben Matu Yuda, he knew how to conjugate letters in a way that he understood exactly how existence came about through the conjugations of the letters of the Aleph Beis. So the power that lies in these letters, you can actually bring about creation, or you can destroy creation, or bring about many things. So the Ramchal writes that using Hashem Hashem and the Kabbalists who knew this, it's considered Sharbito Shel Melech. It's using the scepter of the king. And he says unless a person uses it totally l'shem shamayim, very terrible things could happen to that person. Because it's the ultimate level of what? Of disgrace. Using Hashem Hashem, not exactly l'kavod shamayim. So you have to be at a very special level even to evaluate, to understand exactly for what purpose they're using it. Like the Chazal tell us, and that is the custom of Jews, a Jew doesn't take an oath. You go to court, person goes to court, you don't say you swear, you say I affirm. Copy, did you know that? Okay, why? Why don't you say I swear? If you're swearing truthfully, why shouldn't you say I swear? Right? No, it's not the reason. You're telling the truth. A Jew doesn't swear even if he's going to lose. So the Medrash says that very few people in the history of existence were permitted to use the Shem Hashem. And enumerates them. Yaakov, Yosef, David, Moshe, these people were the only people. Because every aspect of their lives, they lived only for the sake of Hashem. But to use Hashem's name to further yourself, even though it's for truth, it's considered disrespect. Therefore, it's better to lose your money than use the Shem Hashem. Because an oath is with the name of God. So you can imagine to use the Shem Hashem with these incantations to bring about miracles, or to harm people, whatever it may be, we don't do that. Unless it's of glory. There's a famous story with the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer just give people. Chassam Sofer was the Talmud of Rav Nosson Adler. What? Pressburg. Not Pressburg. Chassam Sofer is Pressburg. This is Frankfurt. Okay? Rabbi's teaching me history here. Okay? So this was in Frankfurt. When he was 17 years old, he was the Talmud of Rav Nosson Adler. Rav Nosson Adler was a famous Kabbalist, although he's an Ashkenazi Jew. He's known, he had brought a Yemenite Chacham to teach him how to pronounce Hebrew as the Yemenites speak, because he felt that was the correct pronunciation. And that was his pronunciation, even though he was Ashkenazi. Because he felt, and not only that, he instituted the Birchus Kohanim in Frankfurt. He had a minion. He was a great Kabbalist. And his behavior was a little whatever, wasn't accepted well. Because everything was very extremely different than everybody else. And eventually he was asked to leave the community. behavior was too disruptive. But his Rebbe, the Chassam Sofer referred to Rav Nosson Abdi was a Kohen, as his Rebbe was, he referred to him as a Kohen Agodol. He referred to him as like the high priest. That's how much he esteemed his Rebbe. Okay? So, yeah.
So maybe they were learning it down then. That's why he taught it for once every 7 years.
Okay? Tell that to Agudas Yisrael.
I put it myself on.
Okay. It's the equivalent. You swear you are. It's the equivalent of that. If you study the Devarim, there's a thing we'll call Yudayim, that even though you didn't actually say the name, it's the equivalent as if you did say the name. Okay? No, not. Okay. No, again, it is because we'll see in a moment. Because if you share this too often, others. No. It may become common knowledge. We don't want it. We don't want it. So the question is, and you don't want to forget. So how often are you permitted to teach this? Once in 7 years, or even twice in 7 years? Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok mistavra command yom pamachs b'shavua. Rav Nachman Yitzchok says it's more logical to say that once in 7 years is sufficient. Twice is too often. T'chsiv ze shmi la'olam. Right. This is my name. We just read this in Halacha. This is the reading that we read on Purim Day. Ze shmi la'olam. This is my name forever. But the word la'olam is written la'aleim ksiv. The vav is deleted in la'olam. What does that mean? La'aleim. It should be concealed. In my shmi la'aleim. You should conceal it. Rava Sova the Midrashay Bipirko. Rava was going to lecture on it in a public setting. Omali Usabo La'aleim Sif. So there's a question what Saba means. So some of the Rishonim say Saba is referring to Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi came to him and said to him, it's not permitted. Because if you lecture on it in a public setting, it's no longer going to be concealed. And La'aleim, Ravavino Rami. Ravini asks a contradiction in Psukim. Ksiv Zeh Shemig. This is my name. Uksiv says Zichri. This is how I should be remembered. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo k'shani nichtav ani nikro. Not as I am written, that's how it should be pronounced. The writing and the pronunciation are two different things. Nichtav ani b'yud kei. Yud kei means yud kei vav kei. V'nikro ba'alev daled. What's the pronunciation of yud kei vav kei? As if it would be spelled Aleph Daled Nun Yud Adni. That's the way the pronunciation is. Jews don't realize, they have the witnesses. Christians, they're witnesses. The pronunciation, I'm not sure if it's the correct pronunciation, but if you read the vowels of Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's pretty close to that. So a Jew, a religious Jew, or the person knows doesn't say that word. They refer to them whatever they're called, witnesses. Okay. They keep Shabbos too, according to their understanding. Shabbos, the witnesses. Okay. The one who used to work here years ago, Esme, the woman who used to come on Fridays. She belonged to that group of Christians. Yeah. To whatever they believe is keeping Shabbos. It's like it's Seventh-day Adventists. That's what they are. They're witnesses. They're what they call themselves. That's it. No. Because they made an evaluation that because there's moisture on the walls, and that moisture may seep into the mezuzah, it will invalidate the mezuzah. So they made an evaluation. You should check it twice in 7 years because it's inevitable it may be affected by the moisture. See, today it's a little different. At one time, they didn't wrap it. Today we have cellophane, and we have all kinds of cases to protect it. So therefore, okay. But nevertheless, today we also conduct ourselves this way. Twice in 7 years. Toner Rabbanan, Rishono Shem Shel Ben Shtei Mesri Osios Hayumosir Saluch Lodom. Initially, you have multiple names of Hashem. There's a name, a 12-letter name, and they would teach this to anyone who was interested in learning about it. the pronunciation, what it is. However, Mishurabu Afritzim, but there was an increase of people who had no conscience, meaning they used this name to further themselves. They would actually would harm people with it, or to further themselves in a material sense. They would, meaning when they would give over these names only to the most modest among the Kohanim. And when they would say the Birchos Kohanim, as the other ones would say, pronounce it, Hashem, Yudke, Adni, they would say it, and as they were singing, they would say it quickly, the shame of 12 letters, the 12-letter name. So over here, Rashi Shem Shtei Esrei Ben Arboim Shtayim L'Pirshulon. But what that name is, what is the name of 12 letters, what's the name of 42? Because we're going to speak about the 42-letter name of Hashem. It's not, hasn't been explained what it is. I saw a question, I mean, they don't answer it. They asked the question, I mean, if actually, in the Birchos Kohanim it says, Yivarach Hashem Yishmerecha. So if the name is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, what do you mean? They would say the name of 12 letters or 42 letters. And they would say it quickly so their fellow Kohanim did not hear the name, the word. But factually it's written Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. So it's the 4-letter name. So evidently it's a different name, and it's a different pronunciation. So how could you be Yotzei, Birchos Kohanim, the Kohen's supposed to say the bracha as it's written in the Torah. The bracha in the Torah is written Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, 4 letters. It does exist. It does exist. If you could read, if you could decipher the Torah, it's in there too. Right? But that's not the but Yud-Kei Vav-Kei doesn't mean that. Factions, a different name. So they ask the question. So they say various answers. It's like multiples of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei in its pronunciation and its numbers, so on and so. Make a whole mathematical calculation how somehow it's not contradictory to Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Is anything on the footnote there? Would say 12-letter name would have. What? No. So what does it say? No. But the question. Okay. Tanya, Reb Tarfon, Tamachas Olishi Achar Achi Imi, Leduchan. Reb Tarfon himself was a Kohen, the famous Gemara. Gemara says Tarfon was a very wealthy man, and he went to survey his properties. And when he would go incognito. So the watchman of his orchards was looking for a person who was stealing fruit. So he thought Reb Tarfon was the watchman, and he was the employer. And he took Reb Tarfon, put him in a sack, and he was going to throw him in the river to drown him, the watchman. So as he's carrying him to the river to drown him, he says, Tarfon, what did you do? How irresponsibly did you behave? So when the watchman heard Tarfon, he realized he's carrying his employee to drown him. He drops and runs. So Reb Tarfon, till the end of his life, he agonized over this. Because we read in Pirkei Avos that you're not supposed to use the crown of Torah for your own personal benefit. Who he was, so dropped him to Reb Tarfon, not only the employee, but the great Rabbi Reb Tarfon. So the Tosha says, we're talking about nefesh. We're talking about he would be. You're not permitted to be mishtamish b'kisha shel Torah. You're not permitted to use the crown of Torah. So Tosha says, you have no. But since I'll pay you whatever it is, and he would have been able to save his life differently, he considered that using the crown of Torah where it wasn't necessary. That's what Tosha's answers in the Devarim. So Tanya, Reb Tarfon, but Reb Tarfon was a Kohen. Tamachas Olishi Achar Achi Imi Luduchan. Vitisi Ozni Eitzel Kohen Gadol. Now, who could get close to the Kohen Gadol? He had to be of a special caliber. So because he was going with his cousin, with his half-brother, Achi Imi, his uncle, so he was able to get close to the Kohen Gadol, to overhear, because the Kohen Gadol, when he would pronounce the name of Hashem, wasn't Yud Kei Vav Kei. It was the Shem of Forosh. He said it quickly, as the other one said the name. So now this is another level of name. The name of 42 letters. Ono, humble. He's holding a midlife. That means he's minimally 35 years old. Ve'eno koes, and he doesn't become angry. Ve'eno mishtaker, doesn't become drunk. Ve'eno mamid al midosov. He's not a person who he's always a person who demands. He's not willing to waive his principle on a personal level. So the Rishonim explained, because if a person is not sufficiently mature, he may use the name not properly. If he's a man who is not humble, so again, he's offended easily, again, he may use the name to take revenge. If he's not humble, also, all these various things, he becomes angry, he's out of control, he's drunk, also, you never know how the name will be used. Choliyodo v'hazorbo v'amishamru b'taro, a person who knows the name, and he's careful, and he deals with it in the highest level of purity. He's beloved above, and he's nechman lamato, and he's considered special among his fellow Jews. And there's a reverence which he has, which he displays, which people sense that and he merits both words. Olam hazev, olam habo. Yes. Not sure. Don't know. There's certain names which you're supposed to read. You don't need verbalize. Yeah. Whatever those names, we have no idea what it is. That has to do with Birchus Kohanim, but it's not the 12 and it's not the 42 letter thing.
And the parsha is said that 42 stop, like represent Hashem, and that's why we read them all together. This 10 parsha.
I know, it's in 40. So who says that? Okay, maybe yes, maybe no.
And that's why we say it all at one time. We don't break it up.
Okay. Just because you from Mamad Tzaddik, it has nothing to do with knowledge. This is another level. You had 42 cities of Levium, right? You're Levi. And then you had an additional 6, which were the Ori Miklot, which were the cities of Ref. So there were 48 cities. So again, there were 42. Right?
No, I'm saying.
I understand. I'm just saying the number. I understand. No. Unless it's Pikuach Nefesh. Pikuach Nefesh, Pikuach Nefesh, life-threatening situation overrides everything. Yeah, it's not a question. Even the person who has the chum doesn't have to give it to the Kohen. The one who tithes it, he doesn't have to give it to the Kohen, he gave it himself. So I was telling over a story when I said before the Chassam Sofer, he was a great Kabbalist. And you understand, the Chassam Sofer in Hungary, the Reform movement were in 2 locations, Germany and Hungary. That was the Reform movement. In Russia and in Lithuania, Latvia, that's where they had the Haskalah. In different battle. They fought a different battle. But the Reform, one was they wanted to turn Judaism to culture. That was the Haskalah. Reform in Germany, within a period of 30 years, over 50% of German Jews converted to Christianity due to the Reform movement. Over 50%. So, and it was fierce. It was rampant. You know, Mendelssohn's own Mendelssohn. His daughters were rabid anti-Semites. They converted, and they were rabid Jew haters. You couldn't imagine how they hated Jews. Moses Mendelssohn. So they came to Chassam Sofer, and he wrote many articles. He fought them tooth and nail, the Chassam Sofer reform movement. And they came to Chassam Sofer because he was a great Kabbalist. And he says, maybe you should use your Kabbalistic abilities and just vanquish the whole movement, incapacitate them. That's what they came to the Chassam Sofer. The delegation of observant Jews said, it's reached a point we can't stand up against them in terms of their power. So he said, so when they came to him, he was studying Masechus Sanhedrin, and he was studying the Tosus, Shitas Rabbeinu Tam and Tosus, and he said to them, it's based on the Kabbalah, what lies in this Tosus here, I could destroy the whole movement. That's what he said to them. But that's not the way. That's not what God wants. And he left it at that. You know, we have to deal with them on a conventional level, debate them, try to point out their claims are false, so on and so forth. But they resort to the Kabbalah. It's not the way. We had the Gemara. The Gemara says of Brochos, there was one of the Amoroim, the Biryuni. There were people, Jews, who were hooligans, and they made it difficult. So we read about Bilam, that he knew the exact moment of wrath of Hashem, and he was going to curse the Jews at that moment. Right, Bill? And Balak. So what happened? So this Amor knew exactly when that moment was. Why? And you look at its comb, and you see it standing on one leg, and its comb is pink, and when that moment comes, the comb turns white and has red streaks in it. Then you know that's the moment of wrath, and he was going to curse him at that moment to wipe out this whole group. So what happens? He has the rooster tied to a location, and he's looking at its comb. When the moment comes, he dozes off, and then he wakes up. So he realized. He says, that's not what God wants. That's not what Hashem wants. He could have cursed them. He would have destroyed them all if he would have cursed them at that moment. That's not what God wants. And this is similar to what the Chassam Sofer says. To resort to unconventional means to destroy our enemies, that's not what God wants. Okay? Evidently not. No, they're harassing us to this. God doesn't want it. It's not the way to do it. Omer Shmuel Mishmei de Sabo. Bovel becheskes sheira omedus. Achi vodloch man nifsu. We had earlier that what is Bovel? When Ezra took up the 10 classifications of Jews from Bovel, we had earlier he left it what? It was kesolas nikiyah. It was like pure flour. There wasn't any illegitimacy there. So when he left Bovel, what was the status of Bovel? They had a cheskes. So if it arises that there may be some illegitimacy, the presumption is that they're not illegitimate. There's no illegitimacy because that was the original status. He says, "Bovel b'cheses kshero medis achi vodoloch b'men nifsaloch," until it's confirmed exactly what the illegitimacy is. Shara rotzos. What about other communities? B'cheskes psulheim. The presumption is that that there's illegitimacy there. Achi vodloch man. So anybody who comes from, let's say, other countries, you have to do your research on the pedigree, and only once it's been confirmed that they're legitimate Jews, only then you're permitted to marry them. What about Eretz Yisrael? Muzik lipsul posul, a family that the presumption is they're posul. Muslim kosher, because what did we say? We said that Eretz is Esau to Bavel. Esau is a mixture of various things. Bavel is Solus and Nikiah. So therefore, in Eretz, if in fact they were established as psulim, they're posul, unless you have reason to believe they're not. Hagufa kasha seems to be the statement. Is
When you said Bogo,
no, sir.
That's his kasha, unless you have some kind of doubt.
Where? In Bavel, even if there's a doubt, it means nothing. Unless it's you actually verify the concern. Unless you verify the concern is not a concern. That's Bovel.
And
Eretz, no. If he's muhzik l'posul, he's posul. What about if there's a doubt? Doesn't mean anything. So that's the contradiction is. But it says muhzik l'kosher kosher. Both statements are contradictory. It says when is he posul? It's been established posul. So if it's questionable, then he's not posul. Then it says no. If it's established he's a legitimate Jew, then he's legitimate. But if it's any question, so the inference of the two inferences of the first and second statements are contradictory inferences. That's the first question. Agufa kasha. Amrit muhzik l'psul l'posul posul. Hostoma kosher. But unless, first the statement is you have to be established as illegitimate to illegitimate. But not knowing, what is the presumption? A kosher Jew, legitimate Jew. But the Tani, no, muhzik l'kosher kosher. Only if it's already established that he's a legitimate Jew, that's when he's a kosher Jew. Hostoma, but if you don't know, no. So how do we reconcile the first statement, the second statement of Shmuel? Ernie, you with me? Yeah, that's the Gemara. That's really what the Gemara is bothered with. Omer Afuna bar Tachlif Mishmei Rav lo kasher. Kan la siuish kan lohotzi isha miyodo. That's how we differentiate. Meaning, initially to allow a man to marry a woman, unless he's clearly established as a legitimate Jew, you have to do your verification. You have to determine his pedigree. But let's say you're already married. We leave things big. Unless it's factually, you know he's illegitimate, you leave things big. Then we rely on presumption. Okay?
So the presumption of someone who came from Eretz.
No, he's in Eretz Yisrael. He wants to marry, let's say he wants to marry a family that's established. We don't allow it. We say first verify your pedigree that you're definitely legitimate, then we'll allow you. Right? They had a record of a pedigree. So if you're listed as a legitimate Jew, there's nothing to do. We allow them to marry among one another. But let's say a person he's recorded as a legitimate Jew. Now somebody wants to marry into that family, even though we don't know he's not legitimate. We say we have to do first the verification. Only then do we allow you to marry. Okay? Omer Rav Yosef kosher sichoso kibovel mastino lo isha. Hear this? Interesting. You know, Babylonians, they would speak a certain way. So if you spoke like a Babylonian, that means you came from Bavel. Whether it was the dialect or was the accent. So even though you're in Israel today, but if you spoke, it was indicated you were from Bavel, then you were treated like a Babylonian. We don't question your pedigree. Because we say, what is Bavel? Bavel is what? Is solus. Solus Nikia. Kol shesichosa b'Bavel, masino isha, v'yido dika raboy. But today you have people who are deceitful. Chayshina, you know, they can put on the accent. And factually, they're not Babylonians. And by speaking with that kind of accent or dialect, you would believe that they're Babylonians, but factually, they're questionable Jews. So therefore, we don't rely on that any longer. Ziri havi kamishtamit mined Rabbi Yochanan. Ziri was a Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan. What was Yerushalmi? Okay. Now we said, what is Eretz Yisrael? Eretz Yisrael is Esau relative to Bavel. It's an Esau. It's a mixture. They don't have the purity of what Bavel. Ziri was a Babylonian. So Ziri now is an outstanding Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan has a daughter. Rabbi Yochanan would like Ziri to marry his daughter. So listen to the story. So Ziri, when he realized that Rabbi Yochanan had his eye on him as a son-in-law, he stayed away from Rabbi Yochanan. Ziri have a kamishtamit mined Rabbi Yochanan, dabi omalei nesiv brati, because he kept asking, why don't you marry my daughter? But you hear this, Rabbi Yochanan, the leading Torah sage in Eretz Yisrael, he's what? He's avoiding his Rebbe because he doesn't want to marry his daughter because it's a question of pedigree. Because Rabbi Yochanan is is Eretz Yisrael. He's a Babylonian. His pedigree is a pure pedigree. Havikazlu Burcha. So he was traveling. When it's evidently, it's not they didn't have a relationship with him. Meaning, he didn't allow himself to have that private moment with his Rebbe because he understood if they're together, they have the private moment, he's going to be on his case that he should marry his daughter. So they were traveling on the way. They came to a spring or to a river, and they had to cross. His Rebbe would have to wade across the water. So he lifted up his Rebbe Yochanan on his shoulder, and he's carrying him across the water. There's Rebbe. Oma leg. So Rabbi Yochanan says to Ziri, "Oraisen kshera banted lo ksherin." He said, "My Torah is kosher. My daughter's not kosher." This is what he says to him. My daitach. Maybe he says, "What's the reason? What's your concern?" Because the Mishnah had said earlier that 10 classifications of pedigree had ascended from Bavel with Ezra. Who are they? Kohani Levi? Otu Kohani Levi Yisrael Kulu Saliku. Every Levi, every Yisrael left Bavel to come to Eretz Yisrael. It says they were part of the groupings that came to Eretz Yisrael. Some stayed behind. So just as some Kohanim Yisrael Levim remained behind, maybe some of the illegitimate people remained behind. So you don't have to be concerned. Your pedigree is no purer than mine. So therefore, you don't have to be concerned. You can marry my daughter. Ishta mitzeg. So the Gemara says, evidently, Rabbi Yochanan had forgotten or had overlooked. Hodi Omar, Rabbi Lozer, Lo Ola Ezra mi Bavel achi also kisos nekiah. No, it's true. Kohanim, Yisrael, Levim maybe remain behind, some of them. But regarding any of the illegitimate categories, he did not leave anybody behind. He left it as pure flour. So if that's the case, Ziri does have a basis. V'olo, I'll tell you my difficulty is, it said, we just said, Shmuel had said, that if you're in Eretz Yisrael, if a person is muhzik to kosher, he's a kosher. Correct? Rabbi Yochanan was a muhzik to be a kosher. I mean, they never verified and established his pedigree of Yochanan. There's no concern. Why did he want to marry? Rabbi Yochanan is no question. If he's the leading Torah sage of the generation, his pedigree definitely was established. So, what? I know that, but I'm just saying, so what's Ziri's concern? It would say, Muzel l'kosher is kosher, Muzel l'posel is posel. We said earlier, how do we reconcile both statements? Lasi uisha. So how did Rabbi Yochanan originally get married? Who did he marry? So evidently, when he was married, they established as a kosher Jew. Or they established his father as a kosher Jew. So what's Ziri's concern? Say in the footnote there? I'm not sure. Okay, therefore what? No, I'm asking a different. Mo said before, in Eretz Yisrael, Muzel kosher. So
He was married.
not only no, unless you say maybe he married somebody who wasn't Muzel. They're both not Muzel. Does that make sense? He could have found out. Rabbi Yochanan maybe was Muzel. He was Muzel. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan was a Muzel kosher. They never established his pedigree. Because if they established his pedigree, what's Ziri's concern? So evidently, you have to say he was never established. His pedigree was never established. And that was his concern. Okay? No, he didn't marry his daughter. Did not marry his daughter. Listen to the story. Ula iklo lepumpediso. Lebei Rav Yehuda. Ula had come to Pumpediso, which was a community in Bavel. He came to the house of Rav Yehuda. Chazil Rav Yitzchak Berei, the Rav Yehuda, the Godel V'lo Nosif. And he came and he met the son of Rav Yehuda. He had matured. He wasn't married. And he was taken aback. Omar Lei, Ula was a student of Rabbi Yochanan from Eretz Yisrael. He came from Eretz Yisrael. He came to Bavel, to Pumpediso. Rabbi Yehuda is a leading Torah sage in Pumpediso, which is Bavel. And he sees he has an elderly son. He's not married. Omar Lei, my time will come minsiv leimar itzo lebrei. So he says to the father, Rabbi Yehuda, why don't you marry off your son? Why don't you can't locate a wife for your son? He says, I don't even know where to find a wife. Because Bavel is sold from the Kiyah. I'm concerned about the pedigree. He says, does anybody know? If you go back far enough, the legitimacy. There's always going to be some trace of illegitimacy in our pedigree. Dilma Mihanaf Tosiv. This is already during Bayis Rishon. What happened during Bayis Rishon? It says, Noshim B'tzion Inu Besulas Bari Yehuda, meaning when the Goyim had come into Eretz Yisrael, they raped the Jewish women. So we rule Eved Abba or Akov Bas Yisrael Vlad Kosher. But what is the quality of the pedigree? It's an inferior pedigree. Do we know? Maybe we descend from those, from those relationships. With the Jewish women, they were raped, they conceived, and they had children. That's a known fact. In terms of, especially Ashkenazi Jews, right? We don't know. There were pogroms, there were all kinds of things we experienced. The Crusades. How many communities women were raped or they were conversions, whatever. We don't even know what went on. So in our gene pool, there is an intermingling of non-Jews, of non-Jewish seed. We spoke about in Yemen, the Yemenites, they have the purest, because it was very rare. There was no conversions, and very rare there was any of that. They didn't experience what everybody else experienced. So he said, maybe during Bayis Rishon, since the Jewish women were raped by the non-Jews, what's the concern? You're going to tell me we rule halacha that if a non-Jew, Jewish woman conceives from a non-Jew, the child is kosher. So there's no concern of legitimacy. It's not mamzer. To be continued.